Welcome to the Jared Williams Show. On this video, we're going to teach you how to price your jobs. The number one mistake that most of you guys make, new contractors, new home service companies, is you price your jobs wrong. And it's not that hard. So today, I want you to get rid of the idea of going rate, because going rate is just going to make you go broke. Instead, you need to price your business based on math, and I'm going to teach you how to do that on today's video. Okay. Before we can start pricing based on math, we have to understand what kind of math we're doing. So you have to have a good idea of how to read your P&L, your profit and loss statement. Every single one of you guys should be getting a profit and loss statement at the beginning of every month from last month so you can see how you did, okay? And you need to understand what in the heck is on that P&L and what all those numbers mean. If you don't know, we'll do a video on it, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown here, and then we'll go how to use that to price your business. When you're looking at your P&L, profit and loss statement, beginning of every month, okay? It's literally the most important part of your business. It is the report card of how you are doing as a business owner, okay? You have your profit and loss statement. Very top of your profit and loss statement, you have what's called net income, okay? We'll call it net in. This is always 100% of the money that came in your bank account. Underneath that, we have what's called COGS. COGS are going to be labor, materials, and subcontractors, okay? Once you have your COGS, COGS stands for cost of goods sold. Once you have your COGS, you subtract them from your net income. And what you're left over with is your gross profit. I need to make this thing a little taller so I don't have to bend over so much. Gross profit, okay? That is the most important number in your business. It is the number that you can track to make everything work super well. Once you have gross profit, you're going to subtract out overhead, okay? Basically all of the other expenses in your business, okay? Once you subtract that out, you're going to be left with the number that you all actually really care about, which is net profit. Net profit is the money left over, how much money you had left over. We won't go into balance sheets because that's going to get too confusing. So when you're pricing your jobs, the stuff that's on your jobs, the labor, the materials, the subcontractors, the cost of those is what you use to price your jobs, okay? So if I know that my labor cost me, on a job is going to cost me $100, and I know that I'm going to have $100 in materials, and I know that I'm going to make it easy and just it's $0 in subs, right? Then we can go work backwards. We can say, okay, I want 20% profit. Easy peasy. You can go look at your P&L and you can calculate what has my overhead typically been in relation to how much money I bring in. Typically, for most service-based businesses, you want to keep your overhead below 30%. In my plumbing business, our overhead was 24%, okay? For a commercial business or a new construction business, you can keep your overhead a lot lower, right? Because you don't have a marketing expense built in. So some commercial and new construction businesses, they can keep their overhead down to 15, 20%, which just means they don't need as much gross profit left over to hit overhead and net profit. But if you're running a residential service-based business, your overhead is going to be slightly larger. You have marketing expenses, you have a few other expenses that commercial contractors, new construction contractors don't have, okay? So you have to have a higher gross profit to be able to have enough left over for overhead and net, okay? So if we know we want 20% net, 30% overhead, that means we need 50% of our money left over to cover that stuff. Easy as that. So if we know that labor is $100, materials is $100, we need 50% of that left over, means we have to double our price, okay? So this right here, we would have to charge $400 for. It would cost us $200, we would have $200 left over, 30% of that money is going to go to overhead, 20% of it is going to go to the bottom line. That's a basic understanding of how your P&L works, okay? You need to know what gross profit percentage you need to hit for your business. Every business is different. We're all in different stages. We're all in different spots. You need to track your P&L and know these percentages so that you can price yourself right. Okay, that's not all of it. There's a little bit left here. This isn't how I always price. I switched to this pricing maybe a year ago and it made all the difference in the world, okay? So remember this, gross profit, we know we need to hit 50%. Okay, now we have to factor in efficiency. Okay, so if you guys aren't tracking your efficiency on your stuff, you need to. So there's 3 different efficiencies you need to track. You have service, you have install, and you have materials. Every single one of these areas of your business has an efficiency rating, and you need to track it. So service, on your service work, you're going to be way less efficient than on your install work. So you need to track that, okay? That's why it's so important to have a good CRM like Service Titan, where you can split your service and your install and price them differently and track how many hours you build out on one and how many hours you worked on one, okay? Super important. So service, we might have a guy that works 2,000 hours, but he only bills out 1,100 of those hours, okay? This is going to be different for everybody. Why? Because everybody's price book is different. I might be $600 an hour and have an hour on a toilet job. You might be $300 an hour and have 2 hours on a toilet job. And we're priced the same, right? End price for the consumer is the same on the toilet, but my efficiency might be half of what yours is, just because you have more time on your toilet jobs, right? We go build these price books and we put these arbitrary hours, time frames on these jobs, and then our guys go out and do the work, and we need to track how efficient we're being at our service. We either need to adjust to the time on our tasks, or we need to track efficiency and adjust our price based on our efficiency. I would recommend doing both. So if this is true, I'm 55% efficient for my service. So that means I have to make up the other 45%, plus I have to hit 50% gross margin. So I'm going to mark this number up enough to hit 45% in efficiency. What was this number for again? 55% efficiency. I got to mark it up 45%. That's what it was. Sorry, brain fart. Okay. So we need to mark it up to cover that 45% that we didn't bill out, and then we need to mark it up enough to hit 50% gross margin. For me on my service business, this came out to 70% gross margin on service work. On install work, we were way more efficient. If we worked 2,000 hours, my guys would typically bill out roughly, 1,750 of that, okay? And this same math worked out to about 60% gross margin on install work. So we could go do any job that was 5 hours or more would be priced at 60% gross margin. Anything that's 5 hours or less, or 4 hours or less, would be priced at 70 to 75% gross margin, okay? The other thing you need to track is your materials. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled how many materials we bought and then go look at my P&L, or how many materials my CRM says I bought and then go look at my P&L, and the numbers are vastly different. Okay, so you might be billing out, according to your CRM, according to Service Titan, you might be billing out, let's just say, $5,000 in materials, but then you go look at your P&L, and for the same month, you bought $10,000 worth of materials. I dare you to go pull those numbers. It's astonishing. This would be a 50% efficiency on materials because you only billed for $5,000, but you bought $10,000. So when we figure our material markups, we would have to overcome this 50% inefficiency, and then we would have to mark it up enough to hit 50% gross margin on our P&L. This right here, efficiency, is where most people go wrong. When you're doing service work, when you own a service company, this efficiency plays a major part in how you have to price. You have to be more expensive to overcome inefficiency. And it's why, if you can become more efficient as a service company, you can actually drop prices, convert more jobs, and make way more money, okay? Most service companies are running at a 35% efficient. I heard that from Ken Goodrich. All right, that's how you price. Overcome your efficiencies, do the math, and then go look at your P&L, figure out what gross margin you need to hit. If you don't know, just start at 60% and then track it for a few months and then rearrange from there. That's how you price your jobs. See you guys on the next one. If you like this style of video, let me know and we'll do more of them. Post in the comments, I want more. See you guys.